Empowerment Education Program, part of the NGO Coalition on Human Rights. And one of the things that we would like to do, we're working with Romitesh and Chris, who've been very big pushers on this one as well, thank you, is an open letter. Yeah, this is an open letter. It's already been drafted and it's doing its rounds right now. What we're deciding to do is we'd like to put it in as a paid advertisement because we want it to go in the way we want it to go in as worded, so they don't, cut it up into pieces and make it sound like what they want to. The question I want to ask is, when we say NGO Coalition, we have also concerned citizens. So, how does that work? Because it was concerned citizens. So you want to say a bit more on that?
Yeah, so we had drafted two solidarity statements, actually two statements. One is a letter from civil society and human rights groups that could be presented to the parliament and politicians. And then there was another letter, a letter of solidarity with Palestinians, because our government has said no and that they're standing with Israel, but our government does not represent us. So maybe there are individuals who would want to openly share like a statement of, like sign on to a statement of solidarity with Palestinians. So we also have like that going as well. So that's open to people. They can submit that they can read the statement and then sign on, and then we'll publish that as a Google.
Okay, so that's what we're going to try to finalize. We'd like to get it into the papers as soon as possible. The other one we're trying to do is really work with our churches. I'm sure you will be very aware we're a Christian country, so it's quite difficult, but we are trying really hard to have them come out and put out their statement. I think they're also having their own discussions, but whatever it is, we'd really like them to come out. So if they're listening, if they're going to be hearing this, we're already in communication with you. We know you can do it. Come on out and have your statement and say it. That's one. The other one is we have another march that's coming up on March the 6th, November the 16th. Look at the way that it's going right now. You can already get the temperature in the political situation that it's probably not going to be approved, but doesn't mean we're going to pull back on the application. We're going to push it all the way through. The thing is, we have to come up with plan Bs, and we have to know that even though we come across November the 16th, there's no march, we are going to be gathering. We're going to continue to do whatever we can in our small spaces. So I would just want to also give a shout out to the people who are planning the march for this Saturday. We're already writing our little press releases in our own organizations to post it as far and wide as we can, that the point was not about the security of the nation, it was about them doing their jobs and providing safe passage for the protesters to, enable them to have their own say. So when it comes to ours as well on November the 16th, no matter where we are, I'd like to rest assured, give you assurance that the NGO Coalition, we are going to be planning things. And the more people turn up in numbers, the better it will be, for us to raise our voices. I think that's all from the NGO Coalition so far.
It's part of our Bachelor of Applied Social Science course, and there we teach students how they need to deconstruct the media. The media is supposed to be independent, but it is not. Media is socio-centric. They reflect the values of society. And like at the moment we are seeing our media, they tend to reflect the values, whether it's the values of religion, whether it's the values of culture, whether it's the values of Christianity, all these things are reflected. And if you look at the USA, for example, they have kept certain things out of the media. For example, the pro-Palestine discussion has been kept out of the media for a while. So why I am talking about this, because last week I was reading the news on BBC, which had been repeated on Fiji Village News, and what I read there was that the Jewish people were protesting, the victims, the families of the 1,400 victims, the hostages that are being held. They're trying to hold their government accountable because their government did not do enough to prevent the attacks that happened on October 7. And then I started to think that from what I'm hearing, Gaza is full of spies, Israeli spies, okay? So it is impossible that the Israeli government did not know about the attack. And today I read the news on Al Jazeera. where there was this altercation between the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his senior intelligence officers. And basically Netanyahu was trying to blame the attack on his intelligence officers, whereas they were able to rebuff him. So, and they basically admitted that they knew about the attack. They knew that Hamas was going to do this attack on October 7. So if they knew about it, and Israel with such a sophisticated army, the most advanced weapons in the world, why did they not stop it? And why are they now acting like this attack happened out of the blue? Okay? The reality is that they let the attack happen because they wanted an excuse to invade Gaza. Okay? So that's what it's pointing to. And if the protest in Israel grows much bigger, this fact will be exposed to the world, but by the time it will be too late, Who knows how many more thousands of people will be dead. Yes. So that's one thing I was to talk about. A second thing, yes, with regards to this protest, this march that has been happening, they assume that Natasha Khan had organized the march, and we were trying to comment on this trail of thought, this trail of engagement that was happening on Peter Dritty's post. Peter Dritty's post was very inflammatory on Facebook, basically trying to incite people to take action against the march. Okay, so when I heard about it, when I read about it, I started to respond to it, and I kept receiving threats. I can read the threats that I received. Yeah, it's on my phone. So firstly, they assume maybe I'm a Muslim. Second, which I'm not. I'm not a religious person actually, And secondly, they assume I'm a young person, so I don't know about the coups that have happened, and they're trying to threaten me with action, the kind of things that have happened against the past, People, for example, if you don't know the history, of course, the 1987 coup, after it had happened, we had ethno-nationalism in Fiji, and the Methodist Church was used. The Methodist Church was used to propagate racist hatred against Indians, Hindus and Muslims, for example. Yes. So now at the moment it can happen, okay? It can, it may already be happening. Okay? So although there was a cleanup of the churches, we don't know how clean the churches are. Okay? And actually, when you say, and it's actually not new. We hear a lot about Islamic extremism, but there's also Christian extremism. And the new form of violence that's happening in the world is related to religious extremism. Okay? Islamic extremism has grew largely in response to the attacks on Islamic nations by the West. So it's in a way provoked a reaction, And it has taken its own course now. Terrorists are using it as an excuse to justify their violence. But in reality, it first arose as in a response to Western aggression against Islamic nations. And then we also have Christian extremism. Christian extremism has also resulted in the Crusades, forceful invasions of other countries to convert people to Christianity, Yes, and also now we have other extremism as well. We have Hindu extremism in India, Hindu extremism in India, the BJ party is an example. You have Buddhist extremism in Myanmar, okay, and in Sri Lanka. So it's a problem in the world. Crimes in the world are arising due to religious extremism, and in Fiji we have a danger of Christian extremism. It has happened in the past. So we need to take precaution, like Ms. Shamima has said, the NGO coalition, to stand in numbers. And these threats I have received, and I said they are threats, and they are now saying they are not threats, but I can read some of it if you want.
Just quick because we.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's very long. Yes. Okay. Yes, so maybe I won't go through it, but it's like these things are happening. It's an effort to intimidate. I'm just one person, and I'm having various person responding to my comments, different ones, trying to intimidate me and trying to shut me up, basically, Yes, assuming I'm a young person, maybe, I'm a fragile person, it's easy to shut me up. I don't know what's happened in the world. I've been brainwashed, which none of it is true. When I make my statements, I research it. When I put forward, like Hamas, for example, Hamas was created through funding from Israel. Okay? That's not a propaganda, that is the fact. You know? And they keep saying you don't know what you're talking about. But they should research. You know? Much of the information, when it is bad things,
there.
yeah.
You just need to
So,
the research.
so yes. So those are the kind of things when we say they don't like it, because they are associating the government of Israel with God. Whereas government is not God. Government is made by people. Okay? So you cannot say that the war in Israel is by God, because the war in Israel was ordered by Benjamin Netanyahu, who was about to be jailed for corruption. He was about to be jailed for corruption. There were protests in Israel asking him to step down. Protests again in Israel were very high because of restrictive laws that that had been implemented there to gag their court. And that's when this Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the war in Gaza. The longer, and now he's saying the war will be long, because the longer the war rages in Gaza, the longer he can stay in power.
Must be, sir. Thank you very much. It's very useful what you said.
Thank you. I may be digressing from the
No,
subject.
it's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
CCF, so I'm not new to this movement. My name is Nazim, but before, after CCF, now I work at the EU delegation, but I want to say something, that I am here as a Muslim and as a concerned citizen. I have 2 points, or 3 basically. The first is to say that we endured 16 years of dictatorship under the previous administration, and I had voted for this government because I believed in genuine democracy, so that we finally could be free from the shackles of everything that we went through for 16 years. But it doesn't feel like it, and I've heard other people share the same sentiment. So my line on this is, it feels like I wasted my vote voting for this government, because we don't get the right to do what we want that would normally be allowed in a democratic society. But now I come to the 2 important points that one of the colleagues here raised. I think the most important thing in this fight, or in this movement, is to win the fight of narratives, the fight of words. And I hear from the current administration that Israel has the right to defend itself. Now, I have been on Twitter trying to challenge this. You know, to say that Israel has the right to defend itself is absurd, really, really absurd, as if to say that the rapist has the right to, or the rapist is defending itself against the victim. Because in reality, Israel is the oppressor here. Israel is the one that is violating international human rights every day, every hour, every minute, in Gaza and in the West Bank. They say they're getting rid of Hamas in Gaza, but then why are people killed in the West Bank? There's no Hamas in the West Bank. And so it's important to fight this narrative that has been presented to us. Because if we don't, they have their way and we will always be suppressed. And second, on the permit. They said, oh, we cannot give you the permit because it's a national security matter. Because minorities will be targeted. But if you really look at it, yes, I understand it's a security matter. But the problem is, in my opinion, if you deny us the right to march, the authorities, the minister, the police, and everyone are siding with the people who threaten to instigate the communal disorder. This is the message that I receive. Because it is their job to make sure that we, the protesters, are safeguarded against those who want to threaten us. And let me tell you something. In a democracy, you must agree to disagree. If the Israelis can go around in the Israeli flag, in their cars, in their houses, and we are absolutely okay with this, because it's a democracy, we respect the differences, but we can coexist. But that's not how the government sees it, and that's not how the police sees it, and that's a problem for me. And we must challenge that narrative, and we must say this for what it is. It's not about security threat. No, it's about siding with those who want to commit the communal disorder, and we must call it for what it is, like Rashmi has said. Otherwise, they will have their narrative, because a lot of things, and if we don't challenge the narrative, the uneducated Like we have shared, people who don't know the facts, these are uneducated radical Zionists, in my opinion. And we need to change the narrative. If we don't change the narrative, then they will always win this war of words. And we must call it out. We must call the people who are funding the genocide for who they are and what they are. That's it. This is what I wanted to say. It's important, and you see a lot of discussion now happening on social media is targeting the minority.
Yes.
And the government, instead of giving the minority the human rights that everyone has sided with the people who want to commit the communal disorder. And this we should never accept, and we should call it out for what it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Daryl, and I'm Palestinian. I think we're among the very few Palestinians here in Fiji. And it's heartwarming to feel for the first time that there is some solidarity with Palestine. It has been very lonely since we arrived last year. We see Israeli flags everywhere. There's blind support to Israel. And I understand the reasons and the narrative that has been going on for a very, very long time. So this is, sparking some hope that, truth will prevail and some change in the discourse will happen. I'm happy to talk with anyone to give more of the perspective, the life of who we are as Palestinians, as people who have a cause, a just cause for so many years. And yeah, I really want to thank every one of you for being with us today. Thank you.
Thanks very much.